Little bit.
Oh
Good on
God!
you.
Here we go. Here we go.
Coral
Here we
nuts.
go.
Are
We
we
back?
the-
Are we back? We back? I think we're back. I feel like
Yeah.
this is actually working this time around. Are we there? We're there. We're there.
Yeah, we are.
All
Yeah.
right. Sorry, guys. I actually
I've got my better hat on.
You've
now.
got your better
I've got my
hat
proper
on.
one. Yeah, I've got my better hat. Got my proper one. Sorry
You've
about
got you had your red hat on before when I'm looking
Yeah.
at this. It's just going everywhere. It's a mess.
Yeah.
And clearly, yes, my technical ability didn't get me where I am today. Anyways, so let's just quickly round back a bit there. Your knowledge,
short and sweet.
your short and sweet knowledge of what what got you through your NRL career. Damn it!
Well, yep. So it's a challenge, obviously. Don't have as much enthusiasm as I said the first time I did it. But this week I found out my wife is a folder and I'm a scruncher while we wipe our ass. So I challenge everyone this week to find out something new about the people they're staying with in lockdown.
Can I just ask how long? Like, this is not normal, and this was what I learned from my wife very early on. Is that when someone is in the shower, if I'm in the shower or she's in the shower, the other person's not allowed going on the toilet. That was a rule that was placed.
Yeah.
You got to
Let's
hide
just
some
say
of that.
we're real comfortable in our house.
Yeah.
And we do things that others don't. It might be weird, but hey, I'm going to do it probably tomorrow again. So
I like it.
that's what I do.
When you say fold, is it like just halves or a little like macrame cranes or little airplanes?
Oh, that would be
Something like
amazing.
That would
I'd
be
probably,
amazing.
I'll probably propose and get married again if I seen some
Yeah.
origami or something. Yeah. But
All right,
just
no.
normal fold.
Enough toilet paper chat. Let's hear from you and tell me exactly what it is that happened on this day in history.
Well, I'm excited to share it with everybody watching, particularly football legend Michael Utting. Get well, brother. We love you. Love you most. On this day in 480 BC, this was the day when do you guys ever see that movie, the 300? Remember the one with the blood splats going?
Yeah. That was awesome.
And you're like, man, these guys are awesome. Look at them, they're brave. It was hardly any of them. And Xerxes was 48 feet tall. He looked like Taco Fall, but he was massively tall, and he had an army of 60 billion. You know, like when gate crashers come to your shed parties. That was basically what it was like. And the Spartans said, "Yep, it was just the 300 of us, and we beat up all those dudes, and we got rid of them." So that happened on this day in 480 BC. Oh, also fighting with the 300 Spartans were 700 Thespian soldiers and 400 Theban soldiers. So actually, the movie should have been called The 300 plus those 1,100 other dudes I'm pretending weren't there because this makes me look awesome, is what it was there. So Leonidas was more like Leah bullshit, making up his story. But hey, he was I don't know whether I guess the Thespians, they could have acted it out. I don't know if the Thebans actually had a written language. Maybe that's why the Spartans got to do it. So congratulations, Spartans, for controlling that story and for fooling all of us for ages.
So
Quite
much
handsome,
GST. So much
Yeah,
GST.
so much GST.
You do though, right? You don't.
There were some other
just,
dudes.
just other guys that don't really matter.
Yeah,
We had the fight card last week, and I can't remember what it was. We don't even have the flash graphics to fly over because everything's melted down. But fight card from last week, NATO.
It was who was the voice of the Warriors for you? The best Warriors commentator, and this one actually came in off a feedback line. So thank you very much for everyone that's writing in that you can do it. It was Costigan or Hughes.
Ooh.
So Graham Hughes, the original in New Zealand, and he was an Australian bloke. He was a Canterbury Bulldog, wasn't he, Blake?
If it's the same bloke, yeah.
Yes, it is.
So, yes.
Yeah, I knew it was one of those clubs. So he did that. So it was Graham Hughes early on, and Jason Costigan. See, like when you know that. When they've got a name that you have to do affectation on when you do it, you know it's good. And actually, I thought it would have been Graham Hughes, but it was Costo that won by a pretty clear margin, actually. 1,800 votes to him with the victory. So he's got his boarding pass to grab a Steeden and be the number one overall commentator. So I'm going to go with this, and this actually might cause a shit fight in New Zealand, but I don't care. I'm going to do it. Are you ready?
Go.
Who's your voice? Who is your voice of TV rugby? Is it Grant Nisbet or is it TJ? Whoa. Tony Johnson versus Grant Nisbet. There you go. That's all I'm saying. There's your vote. Vote for it now.
That's a great fight card. So you can get on the messenger right now. You can write your messages underneath. Of course, if you're watching, you would have heard the intro earlier that got all cut off anyways. But we're all over Twitch, all over Twitter, all over YouTube. Just couldn't really hear us there for a bit. So tonight we've got an exciting show planned. We do have John Bloom, the voice of the Phoenix Suns. And NATO, give me one of your favourite memories from when you travelled over to the Phoenix, and obviously Phoenix, Arizona, and we get to watch the Breakers in a preseason matchup against the Phoenix Suns. Tell Aish some of the wonderful memories that we went through, other than the murder hornet not murder hornet, but the hornet.
Yeah, the murder hornet that I nearly flicked with my finger in an act of bravado, which we found out later on would have actually stung me. It's the third most painful sting in bugger history.
I shouldn't have stopped you. I was
pretty sure it was a cockroach. No, my one is actually a realization that I had where, so we were over there and so like normally you get proper newspaper writers that go. And so I had to file a story for the Herald Online. So I was really nervous, right? Because I have to look at the keyboard when I'm typing, and I type with these. So I'm like, oh, shit, doing this. So I get to sit right courtside. This is amazing. I'm sitting by the refs and all that. And I've got my little computer out. I'm like, okay, here I go. And the players are walking up and, they come over and they say hi to the officials. Yeah. And then I'm just sitting there. And then I realized that one of the largest fists I've ever seen in my life is just doing that right there. And so I go, okay, TJ Warren, fist bump. There he goes. And now he's
TJ Warren.
TJ Warren. Now he's dropping 50s. Now he's dropping 50s. How good's that? But it was, one of those ones like, okay, there you go. But he was like, gee, watch this, I'm going to have a motherfucker's day. Hey, man.
Buzzy, eh? So buzzy. I remember sitting next to Dame Lillard while he was, they were doing warm-ups on the court. Portland had come along. Remember we weren't going to go to that preseason game?
No,
we
had passes. So
we had passes.
We had passes, and it's like the whole go to a pass because you can go everywhere. It's like it's a sports nerd's dream. Like you're in and out of everywhere, walking around all sorts. But yeah, as soon as we found out, because what were we going to do?
No, remember it was KJ. KJ was a massive beer drinker.
KJ and Hardy wanted to go out for beers.
They wanted to drink beers.
And we were like Damian Lillard.
Yeah. Dame is going to be playing against the Suns. He'll be there warming up right now. And Nate and I were like, well, you guys can go drink beers. We're gonna go and hang out. And sure enough, because this media passed, and it was preseason, so no one really gave a shit about the New Zealand journalists. We literally walked out onto the court. I sat next to Dame while he was tying up his shoelaces. It was incredible.
Can you not drink beers while watching the basketball?
Well, you can, but you shouldn't while you're in the media centre bit where you're like right up the front of the court and you're drinking beers. They'll be like, you got to go, son.
Yeah, they shunned that one. But apart from that, man, it was awesome.
No, it was good fun time. So John Bloom, who we met while we were over there, he's a good fun talk. He'll talk a little bit of NBA basketball playoffs. I edited it for you, Blake, because remember, you and I were doing this interview and it was pretty crazy because him and I were just waxing lyrical just about how great the Suns were and how they're going to win an NBA championship in the next season. They just missed out on the 8. We had all those dreams that the Orlando fans have right now. But basically, this was a week, gentlemen, where the Vodafone Warriors were asked to get rid of the Vodafone part during a global pandemic and just find another sponsor, would you? Just find you another $1 million somewhere during a global pandemic. Aish, I know we contacted Vodafone for a statement.
Yep. I rang them. Should I?
Go.
And they wrote it down. It was just, I'll summarise it. Just sporting clubs are feeling the pinch. And while our naming rights are out there as an investment from us, now is not the time to take money out of the sport. The Warriors have our support to extend their sponsorship with Vodafone. And he said, thank you, Blake from Marc Peard Sport, for contacting us. Anytime you want to chat, talk to us again.
Investigative journalist. What do you think of that, Noto? That was good fun.
Well, that's pretty impressive to get a reply. I thought it was an interesting one, because I'm made really uncomfortable by the name being Vodafone Warriors. I find it weird having your team name being known as your sponsor first, and that, right? That's the bit that I find weird. Like, stick it on the jersey, have it on your letterhead, do all that as well. But you're either the New Zealand Warriors or the Auckland Warriors, whatever you want to be. That's one of the things I find a little weird. But at the time, I thought to myself, this feels like some of the Volandis things that I've been upset about of stuff just being rushed and you know what I mean, just hurriedly, let's get going. Because you must have known when you're signing the deal that Telstra can pull something like this. But I'm pleased that public pressure made Telstra back off. But what about Telstra trying to make themselves look like good guys and all of this? Oh, hey.
Thanks, Telstra.
This is about you. Bullshit. You tried to basically whip out $1 million sponsor. They must have known before they made that announcement how much it's worth, right? So I reckon it's one of those ones where what you do every now and then is, you know, that thing of the whole, you just leak a bit of information so it gets out there and you'll try and see how it's taken by everybody before you choose how to react to it. Felt like that to me.
They did only let them extend, I think, for 12 months. They said, we've extended for 12 months, so you guys can extend for 12 months. So I'm guessing at the end of next year, it'll all be over anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean,
That's
this
what
is
they're saying.
yeah. I mean, I think from what I understood, people really got on Twitter and hit me up and stuff and said, no, they were told this about 3 years ago that they had to move on and find something else. And I think this is, when you've got sport with a private ownership model, really, this is now Mark Robinson. It's up to him to go. So do I just pay more money out of my pocket that I've got? Or do I now have to get the poor old front office onto this to try and recover a sponsor that big? So I don't know where that one ends up, but ultimately, really, the only person that it affects should be the owner, because they're the person that's getting all of the, that's getting the profit when it comes back. And I do often think that quite often we give business a huge break by them going, oh, but we put money in, so we should get an investment back. No, I mean, if every business could work like that, that would be awesome, and we'd all have one. But it's not. It's really hard. And this is one of those cases where I think it now just becomes a bit of extra hard work for them to get it back over the line. Not ideal in this climate. And Vodafone have been absolutely amazing for the Warriors over the years. But I think the Warriors, to be fair, have been extra amazing back to Vodafone, because I don't hear too many other sports teams that we ever mention that you start with their sponsor first. So Vodafone certainly got their money out of it. And if they could fix that transmitter halfway down the Northwestern motorway so it doesn't cut out when I'm on the phone, that would be really cool as well.
That's a weird one, isn't it? It's a weird
by
one. Every
exit
time
14.
you come around that bed, just near,
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
Goes. You
You
always know where people are. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're only 5 minutes away from
Northwestern?
home. Yeah. No, I just thinking too that for Vodafone, there's a couple of storylines to come out the back of this, isn't there? Will now Vodafone pick up more sponsorship later on? And how much of an ambush has that whole sponsorship been, especially with Telstra taking the naming rights of the NRL, to have one of the major teams, like you say, NATO, being known as the Vodafone Warriors? Like, that must just be wouldn't it just be a thorn in your side if you were...
Here come the video
we don't,
Raiders.
as normal people, we don't think about it. We don't think about it as normal people, because, it's like our bosses when there used to be a radio sport symbol on the mics where they're, when they're doing interviews, they'll be like, there we are, yes, on the news. They were so pumped.
People are tuning in now.
Normal people just don't even take notice, but they always took it as a victory. Yeah. All right, other stories that came through this week that I found interesting. What have we got? We got the North versus South game. There's a plan B, and that's to be played down in Wellington should Auckland not be able to lock down in time, which I would, if I was a betting man, I'd probably be going for the unders. I don't think there's much of a chance of that game. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Imagine the amount of hassle that has to go ahead to refund all the tickets for the sold-out stadium at Eden Park, and then resell the game down in Wellington. And do you
where no one goes to anything.
Exactly. Do you offer people? What happens for people who want to fly down there? Is there going to be restrictions? It is going to be an absolute nightmare. Mm-hmm. Good idea to have a plan B, but really, Wellington, imagine the work that goes in before that would have to happen.
Yeah.
Just nuts. I also got the 2 8 seeds in the NBA playoffs. How crazy is this? Game. If you're not listening or not watching the NBA, NATO's Orlando somehow gets up and beats the Greek Freak and the Milwaukee Bucks. That was insane. What an insane bubble basketball we've been watching. And for all the bettors, and I know that you're watching right now, y'all who like to place a little flutter on there, you know that those 2 games were your solid bets. Well, maybe not Portland versus LA, but NATO, your Magic are playing magic in the bubble.
Shame on the Bucks undies. Mo Bamba, our young star centre who's been okay, he got COVID halfway through the year and hasn't recovered, so he had to leave the bubble because apparently he's just too exhausted. Aaron Gordon's injured, who's the only player that any other team would probably want to trade for if there was one. Jonathan Isaac, who didn't want to kneel with everybody else earlier on, made himself a bit of a pariah. Well, he's always injured. He's got crayfish legs. He's an amazing player, but his legs are so skinny they just break all the time. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to lose by 40. This is terrible. Yeah. But then Markel Fultz goes, oh, that's right, I was the number 1 pick. Watch this. And I actually had to message Bees yesterday, Bees, our mate, the basketball brain, because I showed him the highlights of it. And I went, how does Markel Fultz look? He just looks like a dude that is just moseying through life. And then he's like, mosey, and boom, he's a meter away from someone, has separation, and then just shoots. And I'm like, how does he do that?
That was the Fultz that the 76ers drafted. Yeah. That was the one they looked at and thought, he's our guy.
That's the guy. The big Vooch. What about Vooch?
Vooch,
oh, yeah.
Big fella.
And Vooch being Vooch. So it's go those 2. So I was stoked. So I'm always in that bit, though, where I'm really happy. I obviously realised the Bucks are the Bucks. So I was just happy not to get swept. You know those ones.
Yep.
Well, I still don't think the Bucks understand that they're the Bucks in this matchup. Like they're still looking loose. There's a real chance you could take 2 games out of the 7.
I actually wrote on the podcast. On one of the posts the other day. Everyone needs to just take a step back on Dame time.
Yeah.
Right, Mark? I did because everyone's pumping the Blazers up. Going, no, but mate, everyone's spraying LeBron James. What else does he have to do? Like he gave all these. I sent you the Snoop Dogg meme.
Yes.
Like, how funny! Like, make a shot. Someone make a shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Green was horrendous.
Mate, there was about 10 open shots. If they hit half of them, they win by a 10.
Yeah.
And it's bloody. Everyone take a breath.
Just take a breath.
Dame LeBron will get out of the first round.
Dame is magic. However, it's a lot to
LeBron's
ask.
LeBron's no Vooch, basically. Exactly. He can't drag a team of nobodies over the line. But
exactly.
Old Nate Magruder over here. He's very, very happy.
Nate Magruder.
Yeah, let's see if we can keep this NBA conversation happening with our friend John Bloom. Let's hope that it's loaded up and doesn't melt down the computers. Let's move into the playoffs because I'm aware that there's 2 of us here who we could wax lyrical right now about how well Devin Booker played, where all these players are going to end up. But there's a playoffs happening as we speak, and it's interesting. I mean, this is the first time that I don't know in how many years that if it's ever happened before, that the number 8 seeds have both beaten the number 1 seeds right out the gate. John, in your opinion, I mean, you've followed the game for a lot longer than a lot of us. Is this a strange playoff series simply because of a bubble, and a mini gap in the middle has stopped some of these top teams' momentum?
Yes, that's part of it. So the bubble elements, okay, there's a few of them. One is no travel. So you're not going and having to kind of change your routine, leave from your home base to wherever the city is that you're going to play in. That's all eliminated. No home court advantage, no fans. They're doing the digital fans. And I think the NBA is crushing it from a technological standpoint and what they're doing and how they're serving this content to fans worldwide. I think has been great. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, both of you, because you guys are both fans and you're sitting in a whole different world than I'm in. And so I think that's been great. But what that has done also is level the playing field, because you don't have those same elements that really kind of can tilt it when it comes to playoff time. Some of the things that I just mentioned also affect how games are officiated. And that's not happening now either, without having the fans there, without having the hostile gym and whatnot. So I think those are parts of it. But when it boils down to, are the Bucks really going to lose to the Magic? Are they going to lose 4 games out of 7? I still find that hard to believe. And I also find that hard to believe with the Lakers Blazers, but not as hard to believe, because look, the Lakers and the Bucks didn't take the seeding games as seriously as the Blazers did, or the Nets did, or clearly the Phoenix Suns did. And so because of that, maybe they're not playing at a high level just yet. Doesn't mean that LeBron and AD aren't going to suddenly click with the other guys they have around them, who, by the way, I don't have as much confidence in as I do about the group that is around Damian Lillard, or even Kawhi and Paul George, and we can get to that. But, LeBron and AD might be good enough. They might be if they're firing at all cylinders. Game 1, LeBron seemed to be, and AD wasn't horrible, and yet they still didn't win because the Blazers are just in playoff mode already. They're already there. They had to be there in order to just get to be the 8th seed. So this is new for all of us. None of us have ever witnessed anything like this. And I think, yes, in the end, there might be some upsets that we'd look at and say there's no way that happens if they're not in a bubble on the NBA campus in Orlando at Disney World. That doesn't happen. But, this is the circumstance that we have. And thank goodness we have basketball. First of all, guys, how cool is it that it's like all day long? I'm sure because the time difference has to be crazy. That's got to be great for you guys.
I just said to Mark before we came on, he goes, what have you been doing? I said, this has come at a perfect time, this lockdown, because NBA playoffs started a day after lockdown. And all we've been doing is sitting here, wake up, 8 o'clock in the morning, NBA, 3 games NBA. It's unreal. But as I said, everything's been good on ESPN. They're showing all the games. But doesn't it just set it up like this playoffs, just because there is no home team advantage? Doesn't it just set it up for the best team to win? Like, there's no disputing, if you win this, you are the best team, and there's no 2 ways about it, because there is no benefits of travel, like you said, home court advantage. So wouldn't the best team just come out and win? Like people are saying the Clippers are the best team, but personally, I think the Heat maybe as well might be the best team.
Well, the Suns got 8-0 in this situation, so I'm guessing they
did. The Suns,
they would have been the best team. But of the rest,
that's right.
Yeah,
or
of the rest, the Suns are out. Yeah,
that's right.
You
know what? I think you're right though, Blake, because you're taking those elements off the table. You should see at least the team that's playing the best basketball win it all when it's all said and done. And I think the reason why I say that is we could see a potential big upset in the first round because these other teams are still trying to get into form. It's not like any other season because usually by the time you get to the playoffs, you played 82 games. You didn't have any kind of a break. Maybe you started resting guys if you knew you were going to be the number 1 seed and not have to worry about home court advantage or any of those things. But those things are so rare that I think, this is such a unique situation. We could see a big upset. Maybe the Bucks do go down to the Magic. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, well then the road's a little bit easier for a team like the Heat or maybe Boston or maybe Toronto, who I think people are still sleeping on, and I think the Raptors end up making it back into the finals. I don't think they win. I think they lose to the Clippers. There's my pick if you were going to ask. I do, and the reason I think the Clippers are the best team is because you have to look at a team as the whole roster, top to bottom.
When it all boils down to it, and you've got those two teams playing off for the NBA final, do we think that there will be a asterisk put next to it simply because it was the COVID season, or do we think we're going to have people and everyone standing together and going, there is our NBA champions?
I think it's the second option, Mark, because I do. I think all the circumstances that go into just being able to pull this off, if they get through all this and crown a champion in October, which is going to be weird. But yeah, I think that's when it's going to finish, right? October. I think there's no asterisk unless that asterisk means above and beyond, like an extraordinary champion to win this time. Not anybody to denigrate or to look at and say this is not an extraordinary accomplishment. And I think everybody who was involved in it will agree with that. Now, if the Orlando Magic somehow pull it off, right, beat the Bucks and then move on and somehow keep winning, like there will be plenty of naysayers who come out and say this is a complete sham. What a hoax and a fluke, and it never should have happened. But I think that we all sitting here, you guys in New Zealand and me here in Phoenix, Arizona, can agree that that's not going to happen. The Orlando Magic aren't going to run the table and win it all in the NBA. There will be a deserving champion when this is all said and done. I do want to ask really quick, Mark, as I look at your Devin Booker glorious white jersey behind you. Do you feel like there has been an eye-opening in your nation and in other places around the world about what this young man is all about, Devin Booker, and how good he is?
I remember we came into the gym, we were doing a couple of interviews with our Breakers players, and there was a quick promo that the Suns were recording, and the difference between what we had as equipment to say what the Phoenix Suns as an organisation has and doing a production with Devin Booker. Now, Devin Booker was at the far end of the court, and he was doing some sort of walk across, and our Breakers players were all sort of huddled into one side, and they were all like, holy shit, it's Devin Booker, look. And he walked past, and I went up, and because I'm one of those people that you only get a few chances in life, and this is a chance to be able to talk to a superstar. So I went up to the media lady who was standing right next to him, and I just said, hey, is there any chance I could just do a quick chat with Devin, just a real small chat on camera, just so that I can send it back to the New Zealand, and show them. And the lady was like, oh, he's very busy right now. And Booker just literally goes, I'll do it. Yep, give me, you only want a couple of questions? And I was like, totally. And he was like, yep, I'll do it. Sweet as. I talked to him, and I swear, when the mic started, I was like, hey, Devin. And it was so cool, but he was the type of guy that he went out of his way to make sure he said something to the New Zealand public, and I'll always think of that as being, what a cool dude. What an awesome dude.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love that you had that experience. And, the thing I could tell you is it's genuine. For some athletes, they pick their spots. Yeah. Maybe they know when the camera's on, right? They know when it's rolling, or at least the national cameras are rolling, so they know when they really need to be on it.
Yeah.
He's always on it. He was raised right, but he's done that. He's done that in just supreme colors. I think it's the same thing from a standpoint of what's created him, Devin Booker, the man, is, how he's lived his life, and credit to his parents.
That sounds like someone, who you want going forward as well. So I expect him to stay there. Mark said when he spoke to him, he was shaking and, a bit nervous. And I still fanboy out when I see people. I had a weird interaction with Paul Pierce when I finally met him. Over your long career, is there anyone that I suppose you've met or that you still might meet and still fanboy out a bit and, get nervous or shake?
One time it happened to me. And I was 22 years old. I was a rookie reporter in Detroit, and Michael Jordan was on his last go around. And we were in a scrum, as they call it. So I wasn't doing a one-on-one, but he looked right at me, and it was like my turn to ask a question. And I had nothing. I mean, I was just looking at him going, I'm looking at basketball in like person form. I don't have anything for you. You're Michael Jordan. Your thoughts? I really didn't have. So that was the one time. I've interviewed Muhammad Ali, Tiger Woods. You could, like, a lot of the people that have been considered the greatest in their sports, I've done one-on-one interviews with. And it's just been a situation where I look at them and I'm like, it's another human being. And I am fully willing to talk to any human being. Most of them will probably have a very small care amount about what I'm saying, but I'll still talk to them. And so, that's never been an issue for me getting nervous, even with my favorite player of all time, Kevin Johnson. And part of that was because he was what made me a Suns fan. I met him when I was a little kid. I was going to Cal basketball camp, University of California in Berkeley, California. And he was the point guard there. And so he just became my favorite player from then on. And when he got to the Suns, the Suns became my team based on him as a rookie. He got traded from the Cleveland Cavaliers his rookie year. So I was a Cavs fan for like a month, and then a Suns fan now for 30 plus years, and a broadcaster for 13 with the Suns. And so I'm conditioned to the point where I don't think I'll get like that ever again. That'll be my one story, Michael Jordan, my Michael Jordan story. And I look forward to telling Michael someday, because now I wouldn't feel that way. And I have seen him at Hornets games when the Suns play the Hornets, but I haven't had a chance, to really break it down with him. But yeah, I look forward to someday I'll be like, you know what? You're the one guy that's made me speechless in this whole entire broadcasting career of mine.
Yeah, I know. That's not bad, because I know I've heard some of the interviews you've done. I've seen some of the stuff you've done as well, and I thought to myself, damn, he's held himself well. My chance with Devin Booker was, I feel like I came in quite hot with it. Like, I came into the lady, I was almost quite desperate. I was like, and then he goes, yeah, I'll do it. And I was like, oh shit, he's doing it. Oh, I didn't expect this. And then it was kind of, yeah. So yeah, I haven't. Hopefully.
I remember that night. I remember seeing you, and afterwards, you were on fire. Like, you were so jacked up, and the energy was just, it was exploding off you because you had just had that conversation. So now that you're telling the story, I do remember that happening.
Do you remember I levitated in? I think I levitated through. I was just floating. I was just floated into the arena, and I was like, "Hi, John." Didn't even stop to wave. Just kept floating through over mid-court. Yeah, that was the night.
And I just figured that's the way people from New Zealand move. I didn't realize that was special for that night.
Thank you so much again for your time, brother, and we will stay in touch.
Yeah, take it easy. Enjoy the playoffs, guys. Stay safe.
Good times. John's good value, man. John Bloom,
he's
ladies
awesome.
and gentlemen.
Mate,
that's what American sports broadcasting sounds like, that guy, that voice.
Mate, It was the first time I spoke to him, and we could have sat there for about 2 hours and just chatted. He was awesome.
He was, Nato will second me in this. He was the guy who I always wanted to get on radio sport non-stop for the whole morning. Yeah. He's just that kind of guy where everything he says, like, the dude's interviewed Muhammad Ali and Tiger Woods, and he got nervous with Michael Jordan, obviously, in his rookie. He was a rookie reporter at the time, but not many people could say that they've interviewed that kind of lineup, right?
Well, because you don't want to be in an interview with Michael Jordan and then have him get a grudge against you and then just have to drop 50 on you. That's I'll take it personal now and then just crush you to death. He was,
Mark, so what do you got on your wrist? Have you hurt your wrist?
No. That's just a thumb band I found.
Hold it up.
I was so frustrated with everything at the start of the show that I may have swung some things, because it's funny, like, no one cares, nor should you. But the amount of work you put in to make it all happen and working, and then all of a sudden you press the go button, it goes. Good times. A couple other stories that came to interest this week. All the best scrappers in the country, all the best fighters, people who scrap it out, are all right now in a bubble, in isolation, waiting to head off to Fight Island, Auckland City kickboxing bubble. How great a bubble would that be? A, if you were good at fighting, but B, if you just want to go out in the pubs and you're allowed to go out in the pubs and there's going to be no real good scrappers out.
I was like thinking, like, a pity the poor dudes that are going, you know, they're out there, they're driving around in their car, they've got their black hoodies all done up, they pull the face, they go, that window's open, let's go in there and just give me a leg up. And you go, and you get to go in and you like drop down, you're like, there's like, I don't think there'd be a worse place to try and burgle right now, would there?
No.
Nah, not at all.
Could you imagine it? Like,
steal that barbecue.
and Matt Manukia, who seems to have all the inside words on everything sporting at the moment, he also broke the story tonight that the Australian Baseball League is looking to base itself over on the North Shore for a bit for the first start of the season, which means that if these big names do come down from Major League Baseball, there's going to be a whole heap of stars in isolation or hanging around the North Shore. They'll just blend right on in. So Matt Manukia was doing a story about all the boys shacked up from City Kickboxing and the barbecue that they've got outside, and you know they all come in and they come have a feed and they walk back in their track pants and stuff. But imagine the chaos that is happening in there during training times. They're all in a bubble. They're all scrapping. They're all getting frustrated. We all know how frustrated we get with our own family. Let alone a whole lot of dudes that like to throw down.
Yeah, ones you've just been fighting with in the afternoon. Or maybe by that stage you've actually got it out. You know,
but you'd hope so.
It. They might. Yeah, they would have got all their frustrations out and stuff. And I'm sure if anyone does, Eugene's like, go over there and kick some pads, you know.
Oh, totally. Eugene's a peacekeeper at the best of times. I'm thinking too, what are you cooking on a barbecue to feed a group of boys that big? Do you know what I mean? Like, you get away with a couple of mass packs of sausages, but then what? What are you doing to keep the flavours going?
They need their fine meat. I reckon there'd be a couple of cookers among them, you know, bit of different cultures, something in there.
I know Kai. I know Kai Cutter France when he was on last tells us that he doesn't know how to cook at all. So there's one that's definitely not adding to the menu.
Okay.
It's good. We've following on Insta. I've been checking out all the little ins and outs of the place. Just puts it up on Insta. It's good.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I got worried in the TV1 story there with Matt Manukia when he was touching the barbecue, because I think I'm still like, wait, what if you've got COVID on your hands? You know, don't touch that. We need these guys to go over and beat up other people. What are you doing? Like, don't touch their stuff. But I guess, you do barbecue. It'd be like, I think it'd be very lean meats that would be dropped off, wouldn't it? I don't think it'd be fatty at all.
You can't barbecue lean meats, though. Lean meats, you need the fat in the meat to make sure that it sizzles. You get that good marbling taste. You need all the fatty meats, but maybe maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe we're all in line now. So how long have they got now? They got about a month, right, before they have to be.
September 27th, the date is.
Yeah. So and what are we now? August,
So that's about a month away. So remember, they'll head off to, I think it's Abu Dhabi that they're going to, where they'll do this. So they have to head off and get a couple of weeks under their belt there. So that looks all right. But I'm just thinking that, like, see, Paulo Costa, where I believe he would still be training in Brazil. I don't think he's training in America at the moment, but I know they tried to get a whole bunch of them up there. But even if you're in Brazil or in America, just getting through daily life, making it to the fight without catching something that means you can't travel is going to be hard enough. I mean, like, in Paulo Costa, I don't know where he's going to get his steroids from, but, you know, he's obviously having to be in the cycle where he's off those just at the moment.
But NATO, not according to Trump, if you heard him during the week, like New Zealand, you know, has got all the cases. So
yes, we have.
This would be the dangerous place to be, don't you think? Not America.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Because we had 13 cases and they had 400,000 or something. So this is the place you don't want to be. Yeah.
Well, which is a way bigger number, 13. Way bigger than that. But remember, they don't use the metric system. So that might be that crazy sort of American maths that they use. So perhaps it might be a thing that does with that. But I was excited when I saw that. Like, when you see, like, you know, all the city kickboxing guys flying up together, it's great. I love watching Shane Young fight as well. It's cool to see Quake as well and Kai. I'm like, ooh, action pack.
That's a good man. There's a pack of dudes who are all heading over there, man, and they're all great scrappers. We should be mighty proud. Let's hit through some of the messages before we move on to our next interview with Greg Feek. Arts, of course, Michael Ludding watching us. Says, cheers, boys, keep me alive. On your Arts, much love, my friend. Thank you to everyone who reminded me that the technology wasn't my strong point. Lance Orman says, best news about the tuatara. Fingers crossed it happens. That would be very, very cool. Yeah, burger patties and buns times 200. Andy Roo, that's on the menu. How many burgers though, Andy? You know what I mean? Like barbecues, I reckon that's the great thing about a barbecue here in New Zealand is that you kind of save it for for summertime. You go, yay, charcoal sausages one night, and then maybe a couple of patties, and then you're like, all right, back to the oven. But if that is your full for the next month or so menus coming off a barbecue, yikes!
They got to keep that weight down too. They have to make weight, so there'd be something in there that wouldn't be allowed. They'd be strict. I don't know where they'd be going, but
yeah.
And I mean, so you're saying it'd be like weird, like health burgers. So you can have a burger, but it's like, has there mayonnaise? No. Is there sauce? No. Like,
no buns. Lettuce burger.
There you go. Lettuce burger in there as well.
It's talking from a great physique. Any lettuce burgers.
A man who's built his life and career on the lettuce burger. Oh, I love it. I'll tell you who is looking in great shape, Nato, and we caught up with him this afternoon. He's the assistant coach to the South Island rugby team in the North versus South. That is Greg Feek, and he is ripped to shreds. I actually started off the interview by asking him, he's got a massive task ahead of him, doesn't he? Like that North Island team looks like it's playing for keeps.
I'm pretty confident with the group we have. Haven't really looked too much at the North, to be honest. So once we got the group, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't really. We know that it's going to be, if it's anything like Super Rugby Aotearoa, it's going to be probably just a little bit of a step up maybe from that. But our job is to sort of just get these boys and try and get that week going as best we can for them, I suppose, and they'll probably lead a lot of that.
What do you cook up in a week? Like, I guess you can't, you know what I mean? Like, you can't really do, this is a massive big game plan for the next 12 games. So what do you, like, what's the idea when you've got like a 1 week window to cook up a plan to win a game?
Yeah, I think, if you look back at tours and things like that, and that's probably where you get your experience from a little bit. But in some, like you say, one off, it's really just to see where the players are at. And it's been it's been a pretty big campaign for them, week in, week out. It's been pretty tough. So I know Plum and Stormy will be chomping at the bit as well. And I think part of it is making sure the players enjoy that week. So that's probably the first and foremost. And then we build the week as it fits, and we have some ideas around structure. We obviously have to have the trainings planned and what we're doing, and all the rest of it. But around that, we've got some really good guys in both squads that will lead a lot of that as well. And we'll kind of work with them on that and drive that, and it gives us a chance to see how they work and how they operate as well.
Yeah. What about with the players that that you've got? You must look around them and go, I mean, what else do I need to teach them? Is that kind of how you feel at stages when the higher the grade, the players must come fairly highly qualified as well.
Yeah, and I think the questions you get asked are the best ones, from those sorts of guys, because they wouldn't be asking if they didn't want to know it, and it'll be a challenging question. And sometimes for us, it's a matter of, like how do you make the complicated simple, and trying to and simplify those messages down and get excitement. And also for me is to take all the stress out of it, so they're not having to worry about too much. So in this day and age, that's probably what it's about. And the climate we're in is probably more applicable as well, So coming back to why we love the game and why people watch it, why we used to get up early and do it, and why people have been going along to games recently and nearly filling stadiums, grabbing hold of that and getting inspired by that,
Yeah, I mean, you spent an awesome period of time away where, you're around that Ireland team where you had guys come through like, Furlong and just incredible props like that, where I remember thinking like, oh man, Ireland's got props that can ball handle now and do that. And everyone thinks prop, big guy, scrum. What are modern props doing now that you look at and go, this is the overall product of what that player is?
Yeah, well, that's the challenge for them. The whole tight five, whether you're 130 kgs and 6'2" or 120 kgs and 6'7", you have to be able to have all the skills and make meters, I suppose, meter, and then be able to do a close skill like scrummaging and still mentally and physically be up to it. So, it's probably it's come along a long way in that aspect, and I think that's when you've got guys that can do that, and then outside them you've got Damien McKenzie or Bowden Barrett or George Bridge, Will Jordan, those guys running off them as well. It's exciting, for fans as well. And it's exciting. It's a good challenge for those players when you are built like that to have to develop these other skills. And I think, the footwork stuff and putting big hits on and being delicate with passes is definitely a skill. So, yeah.
I mean, you've obviously had some time to watch, be involved with the Super Rugby Aotearoa and see what the style is and where it's going to. Something like this, though, the North versus South, where fans get that one-off look of everything. Have you kind of felt like there's a festive atmosphere and the players themselves are feeling up for this? It's kind of a bit of fun, yet there's some real stakes on the line.
Yeah, I think, you pretty much hit the nail on the head in terms of, there'll be the odd guy that is a little bit of an unknown as well. What is this? What's this about? Yeah. And that may be something that we can kind of help develop as well, and giving them a sense of identity around what this is about. But yeah, there is some excitement. I saw a couple of guys this morning floating about down in Christchurch, and there's a lot of energy there. And I think also having a couple of weeks off, getting into another big game and prepping them for that, just seeing that whole, being a part of that whole buzz, is I'm pretty privileged, to be fair. And to add to what you said is really that's it in a nutshell, to be fair.
Just show them the last game, because that's one of the last games I remember there was actually a fight in, like a fair income one with, like, not the you're kidding, like an actual punch in the face. And I remember thinking, like, oh, here we go, there's a bit of that, because I don't think we make enough of North-South, we should make more of it.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be promoting that sort of carry on.
No, of course not.
I still remember the lady in the crowd yelling, there's kids here, and that kind of as a real reminder, what this is about, and sometimes I think using our physicality in a legal and exciting way, is where the modern game's going. And I think that's going back to what you said about the big boys too, like the refereeing, obviously, and how World Rugby and how we want the game played there's a lot of player care now. So you've got guys wanting to smash them, which you can, but you have to do it legally and you have to do it with good technique. So those are the things as well that are exciting as a coach, but the challenge for everybody as well.
It's the ultimate in scrap stoppers, isn't it? The old lady who's got kids near her who goes, "There's kids here." Every man goes, "All right."
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're almost halfway through it. You stop. Oh, what am I doing?
What am I doing? What an animal. What have I become?
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed.
Did you kids see the restraint I just showed? See? That was a lesson.
Yeah, look and learn. Just a question. I love that your tag down the bottom that says your name. It's Fiki. Fiki, is that a nickname that you've got? Can you take us through some of the nicknames that have evolved during your career, and who's usually given them to you? Fiki.
Oh Jesus! There's heat. It's funny. There's all sorts of carry on there, but I just saw that myself, and it was probably because when someone's trying to tap into your phone or you're trying to do stuff, I just thought, well, I'll just call my phone that. Do you know what I mean?
That's what it'll be. You nicknamed yourself Fiki from now on.
Yeah. And if I lose myself, I know where I am.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Nickname. I could write a list on that, and that's probably one of the fun things about being in groups. Is actually one thing I like to do is is come up with little nicknames for people. But some of those are within the environment. But
yes.
Good. It's good fun. That's what we'll enjoy, and hopefully, if I get to know you guys a bit more, I might be able to come up with a couple for you.
Yeah, do it.
Yep, right.
You must be proud of some nickname though that you've given someone that now has stuck and everyone else has called it, or have you not laid claim to saying, well, that was me? Remember?
Yeah. No, there is even in Ireland. There's our media guy nicknamed him Shirkers. His last name was an Irish name, O'Shearcon, and I managed to kind of get Joe Schmidt saying it in front of the whole team, so everyone started calling Shirkers. It was too much of a mouthful anyway. So that was probably one straight off the top of my head. There's things, back at school days even as well. But even for me, there's probably a few floating about that. I think I've said before, I remember when I was a young fella in Taranaki, even Smiley Barrett came out with one for me, So there was all sorts that go on over the years. that are that you remember and enjoy.
So I was just thinking, right, like it's interesting. We get to see lots of old games on telly and stuff, and it's real weird. You watch those old 1980s scrum set; they just show up, boom, and you're away, and then you go. And I was thinking as I was watching the games at Eden Park the other week, I thought it's interesting. The bit that really takes a long time is the super deliberate setup of the scrum. Can you explain to us number one, why it's so super deliberate, and number two, is there any way that could go quicker?
Yeah, no, I think we've actually talked about that as coaches and referees. We've actually said, hang on, we're actually getting to a point now where it's almost like a break for everybody. Oh, knock on, scrum. Oh, right, let's go and walk over and get the move and have a chat and sort of say, hey, how's things going, and reset a little bit. So I don't know if you noticed, but in the recent Super Rugby, they actually did try to speed that process up, and actually get there and get the call in a bit quicker. And I think it wasn't actually anyone's conscious thing. And then once you are there, players have a routine, a process that they go through, but it shouldn't take 50 seconds or whatever to do. But there is a deliberate period of time when they get to that point and go, righto, that's a bit like a golfer, I suppose. Individually, he sits there and goes through a routine. These boys will do that, and then you're into it, But there was a conscious effort for us coaches anyway to try and channel it through and say, hey, look, let's try and speed that up by 10 seconds,
Yeah, because I think sometimes with what used to happen when John Drake was calling games, where you were playing in and stuff, he just loved them. And so it was kind of like when I'm watching the UFC and Joe Rogan gets to the grappling bit and he's right into that, and it makes it fascinating, right? And whereas now it's almost like they don't have any props on their commentary, so they go, oh well, here we go, dark arts, don't know what's going on in there, And then there's that big long gap, and I find that really frustrating. Like, I want someone who loves it telling me angles and telling me what the whole point of being so compact is.
Yeah, well, let's maybe next time I see Marshy and Jeff Wilson and the boy Cully and that, we'll start giving them lessons. What do you reckon? Get pumped up about it. And they probably actually know more than they think in what they say, but they probably just don't want to get it wrong, But at the end of the day, as you know, have an opinion on it, like we all do in rugby, no matter what it is, that's all right, Doesn't and I think next time I see them, and then maybe we'll get you on there, mate. What do you reckon?
Yeah, we'll do that. On it. All right. Yeah, I'm there.
And that'll be the last time we hear, all right, scrum, dark arts, and then silence. There'll be a good description coming out. Anyway, Figgy, that's about all we've got time to to have with you. But thank you so much, and all the very, very best for the game. We'll be watching, and hopefully there's some scrum breakdown on the commentary when we get to watch.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Oh, NATO, eh? Fix himself up a Sky commentary gig on the backs of just suggesting that, dark arts is not enough information.
I'm there. I've still got some of the suit jackets that I had when I used to get to be on Sky. So there you go. I actually remembered afterwards that I tried to give Greg Feek a nickname once in commentary when I was at TV3, right? So Hamish Mackay was always our lead caller, and every now and then there'd be problems with getting people in, right? So it'd be like, I used to do the pre-game show. They'd be like, oh, no, can you do the sideline? And he'd tell they were like, oh, God, he's going to be on the sideline. So I was there on the sideline doing it. And he did it, and he did it, and he gets in the scrum, and I go, "Wow, the freak of nature!"
Oh
yeah,
you like that?
Yes, I do.
Upstairs, hated it. I got it in my ear. Don't do that. Don't. No, it was insulting. I'm thinking, are you crazy? Like, the Hulk is a freak of nature. The thing is, that's a great thing to be. I thought it was probably just advanced, just ahead of my time.
You were ahead of your time, mate. You were ahead of your time. You were before the Greek freak came even came out.
The Greek freak.
Yep. The Greek freak even came out. We got a message in from Andy Roos saying, "Got to have burnt outside chicken with raw in the middle." We must be looping back to the barbecue.
Oh, the barbecue.
You always get that, Andy, on point. Absolutely, the burnt charcoal chicken on the outside, and then the lovely pink. With that little bit of pinkish water that comes streaming out of it as well, just to make you feel a little bit. That's what the boys will be eating in lockdown. I tell you what we should do as well. We should check in with our mate Kai Kara France and see if he can give us a tour. Yes. What if he randomly hands his phone over to one of the fighters, and one of us spin a wheel, and we have to trash talk that fighter, just like go at them. Like, you pussy, why are you even in lockdown? Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, they're locked up now, so it's. That makes me braver.
I feel like they wouldn't forget though, would they?
Nah. Well, you heard the Dan Hooker story.
I know.
Carter Friends told us about Dan Hooker. And was it Munter?
Yes.
Yeah. And then he bashed him 3 years later.
3 years. Just the 3 years.
3 years.
Speaking of bashing and waiting, I love the story too from Greg Feek. You know, the idea of a mother in a crowd. My kids are watching mid-scrap, and you're like, you know, kids and mums are the ultimate stop-downs of fights, no?
Everything about this game just reminds me of Origin.
Yeah.
Like the fighting, the like rugby league version, you know, the rugby union version of State of Origin. But I still don't know how, like you guys told me that it's the first class game that they get. Because I'm confused because the Barrett boys are on different teams. And with rugby league, that's the problem because Inglis was born in New South Wales, now plays for Queensland, and we're sour because we should have won 8 series instead of Queensland.
Yeah.
But North and South, the Barrett boys are on different. Brad Webber's playing for the Chiefs, but he's from South. I'm confused.
But he's from
How does it work, Nato?
boys. So I think this is the letdown of it is it seems a little bit too contrived to try and even the teams up. Right. So what they've said is whatever you played your first class game in. So when you've finished at high school and the first province that selects you, which is weird because like you do like, for example, the Crusaders funnel a lot of talent in through that Lincoln University sort of scholarship system that they use where they get guys down to, you want to study to be a farmer? Scott Barrett. Yeah, come down. Yeah, we'll do that. So they can get them in that way. And of course, Otago University, I think like it was Brad Webber ended up going and playing in Otago first. I believe that's why he's in it. So they've gone and done that. And I kind of think that what they did was they looked and they went, the North Island team would probably be too strong if they just went out with like, my thought is, what is the first rep team you were in? So, when you're little and you make your very first, I'm in the Auckland Reps or the Bay of Plenty Reps or, the Central Otago. That should be the one you play for.
Right.
Because I always think that's the one that people probably do cherish the most, right, and think where they're from. But I reckon they've looked at this and gone, well, how can we just even it up a little bit? But the problem is where it goes for the future, because when they very first did Super Rugby, there was this really weird thing where they looked and thought, man, the Auckland area is going to be too strong. And that had all the really good players. So they put North Harbour as part of the Chiefs.
That's right.
And the Blues were made of Auckland, not West Auckland, not the North Shore, and Northland. You know what I mean? So, look, I can see Blake's face going, what?
Yeah,
and that's exactly what they did because they thought, oh, man, Auckland would be the Blues would be too strong if we did that. So let's make those guys. And it was just weird for ages. And then eventually they got back in and they've been a little unsettled. So to me, I think that's the only letdown to do here. It's you just have a stronger team. One of them should be stronger. And then that makes the victory so much better
for real
when you're not the stronger one, right?
And it's going to be, look, they've only got how many weeks to sort out plays and stuff like that. Like these are all high-end players. So it's not going to be a blowout. Just not going to be a blowout because A, the stronger team won't have much time to get their combinations working. And B, the other team's going to be good enough to stay within it anyway. I reckon the most sensible would be building off that tribalism that comes with high school rugby. And whatever high school you attended, it's still draw back into that. Like he came and they run out in a Hastings boys jersey. You know what I mean? And rip it off and then it becomes... Or socks, anything like that. Like,
socks.
So build into the tribalism that already exists and make that high school... Now, because Otago boys is always strong, right? Christ boys is always
Otago,
good. Surely,
Southland boys are really strong.
There's always enough good
boys.
high school teams that would be able to fill up 2 really good teams. And I mean, St. Kitts might miss out on a few positions because there's a few Gisborne boys, high boys that were that were a part of a good team. Well, but that makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, because I mean, you end up with the weird thing where you've got 2 guys that met when they were 13, were best mates the whole way through fielding. Now Sam Whitelock's playing for the South Island and Aaron Smith is playing for the North Island. Yeah, they both went through, I think it was fielding ag in those days. You know what I mean? Like they were basically realised they were in the boarding thing together. And Sam Whitelock tells this cool story about this cheeky little guy coming up going, "You look big. Do you play rugby?" "Yeah." "Oh, cool. I'm your mate." And then that was him and Aaron Smith from then on, right? So they were through, which I think that's what you want. You want that whole Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger twins thing happening with best mates when they're at high school. But that's the only bit that I find odd about this. But I'll still be cheering North. Let's go North.
Yeah,
let's go North.
Why not?
What if it's annoying if you're the South Island that you have to wear white while North gets black?
Yeah. Well, beat them. Beat them and get their jerseys off them. That's what you can
jerseys.
Okay, finally, before we leave, just a few messages come through. And look at Tony Kemp. Look at Tony Kemp. Ace, have you changed your clothes in the last week?
No, I haven't. Lockdown, but it's good to see you on your
Don't have to.
15th beer, Kempy. Good to see you on your 15th beer.
What's he saying about my hat? But no, Kim, because what I'm trying to do, this is I'm trying to like get it so you can see my face, you see, because otherwise it's like this.
Yeah,
and then it's like
the shadow.
rob your house.
Shadow's not good. Shadow's not
Brooklyn.
good. He also
Plus, you
talking
can see
about
my heroes.
it's origin for guys that can't tackle and kick the ball away before they get tackled.
He's looking for a fight.
He is
He's looking
absolutely.
for a fight.
Kempy is just trolling right now. He's just sitting there trying to swing on people. I love it. All right, team. That's us for another week. We will we'll see you all next time. I tell you what, too. I'll make sure that things don't mess up.
Don't promise.
I know. I
Don't
should.
promise.
Thanks for watching. Ka kite.
Okay, get your jelly crystals.